viewers, and welcome yet again to another episode of Conversations with Yovosa. I'm always happy to be here. On today's show, we're going to be having what I call a repeat guest, and he's back on the show to talk about another dimension to him, so multifaceted individual. I continue to have a whole level of respect for educators. They don't get enough flowers. We continue to our series on the education sector. I mean, the other time I had Dr. Osagi on the show, a lifelong educator. He talked about, the challenges during the COVID era. On today's show, I'm going to be having not someone who's a career educator, but now he's in the education field. And we're going to talk about it, like how he decided to go from entrepreneurship. I mean, he is still an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur, but now, he's in the education field. He's an adjunct professor at the Montclair State University, where he teaches a course in accounting and finance for entrepreneurs to freshman class, a course that provides students in the entrepreneurship minor with a basic understanding of the accounting and financial issues that startups and growing businesses face. We'll be discussing his passion for education, in addition to his, being a tech entrepreneur, and his experiences so far in the classroom setting. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome back to the show Mr. Okey Okuzu to Conversations with the USA. Thank you again, for obliging me for taking the time out to be here. Happy to have you here.
No, thank you so much for having me back. And again, just kudos on the work that you do. This is just a great platform to spread all the goodness that we have to offer the world. So just keep it up.
Indeed, see if you're telling to keep it up, so you people keep it up, so I can keep it up, and we'll do our part. So I have to ask you. Now you're an adjunct professor in college, teaching, college level class, and you've got college age twins, so this should be interesting. And they're sophomores now, right? Or are they juniors? I forget now. The time is just kind of like going so fast. What are they now?
They're actually juniors.
Oh, they're juniors. You see, it just seemed like it was just like yesterday they started college, right? Okay, so they're
That's right.
juniors. What was their reaction to them when you told them you will now be an adjunct professor teaching in college?
It was very interesting at first. Like you have twins. I
Hmm.
have a twin boy. I have a boy and a girl, and
Okay.
the reaction was obviously, I think, reflected in the genders. My
Right.
son was like, "Oh, whatever," right? But my daughter was very, very interested in the subject, and she thought it was just a very natural fit to my personality. I think that, obviously, just given a girl child, will view her dad as being a little bit more paternalistic. And so she thought that those attributes to my person would lend naturally to me being in class with young adults. So she was extremely
Right.
excited and very supportive.
Okay. Well, that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's funny how I mean, they have their individual personalities, right? Even my twins who are both girls, still individual personalities. But it's funny how those continue to come through in every situation, right? It's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how did you come about this opportunity to serve? Because that's what I call it. Educators, they're servant leaders, right? They're here. You guys do a whole lot to us. I mean, I wouldn't be here without educators. You wouldn't be here without educators, right? They don't get enough flowers. So how did you come about this opportunity to serve?
Well, I think that it's there are a couple of dimensions to this. First off, in my professional life, I've had the opportunity to make presentations within corporate settings, presentations at conferences. So, in a broader context, this is something that I've done, for a long time. And so the second dimension is obviously being in a formalized institution of learning. The reason why I'm doing this and how I come about this is that I feel that I've been blessed through my career, right? Having had a solid educational foundation, having had extensive professional careers in corporate America, in Nigeria, and then as an entrepreneur, and I feel that I have a lot of knowledge, a broad-based knowledge set to share. And so as I get to the later years of my career, I feel that I owe it to society to try to look for ways to give back. And this is one of the ways that I feel that I can give back, which is by trying to foster, better professional learning, tutoring, teaching, and it just increased levels of professional capability. And so this is where I found the opportunity to teach at Montclair State University, and I've embraced it. And I've been doing this now. This is the second year doing this. I'm really enjoying it. I really get inspired by the young people that I interact with every day. So I learn as much from them as I believe they learn from me. So I'm really humbled to have the opportunity.
Thanks, okay, for that. So now it's funny how you talk about your experiences, making presentations in a corporate environment and your audience being, I won't say grown adults, professionals who've been professionals for many years versus now in a structured environment in classroom and you're teaching young adults, so people from maybe 19, late teens to like early 20s. So how can you do those draw parallels, between the corporate settings and now what you're doing?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And there's actually quite a bit of a contrast. First in a corporate setting or even in a setting, in a conference setting, the people in the audience, again, depending on the context, feel free to dissent, disagree, agree, right? Extend the conversations because, in the end, it's all looking, the objective is to elevate the discourse and advance whatever imperatives it is that brings us together
Sure.
in the class setting. Especially I'm teaching young adults that are sophomores for the most part, and so they sort of expect a more sort of didactic interaction, so they listen while I speak. And so the natural inclination is not to, voice their opinions, especially if the opinions are dissent. But what I do, and I take great pains to do this, is that I create a safe space for people to voice their opinions. As a matter of fact, a significant amount of the grade in my class is around classroom participation,
Okay.
and so I create this space. I tell people that there are not that there's nothing like a stupid question. We must all respect each other. And then one of the things that I've found also, given my experience in corporate, is that if one person in an audience voices an opinion,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably 20% of the other people that have that
Thinking
opinion,
the same
but they
thing,
just
right?
simply don't have the guts to voice it. And so, if it's something that's not as quote unquote smart as what you'd expect, that represents a significant number of people in the audience. So I create that safe space for people to voice their opinions, and I call for dissent.
Mm-hmm.
I call for people to disagree with me. And when people do disagree, I throw it back to the class to sort of foster a debate,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because again, I come from a perspective that's not completely reflective of today's educational and cultural environment. And so I try to, yeah, and this is what presents an opportunity for me to learn also,
Mm-hmm.
is have the people sort of come back at the subject of discourse from their own perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
which then allow me to imbibe some of those experiences and
Mm-hmm.
improve my own, capacity as well. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the broad differences that I see between both.
And it's funny how I kind of envy you because it is I see it as win-win because like to your point, yes, you're there to teach them and all that, but there's also key learnings for you, right? Just from the interactions with these young adults. I mean, it's a whole other level, right? Just being there in class. And I think I also appreciate the your method where you say, okay, yes, you try to create that room to encourage them to, like, speak up, ask the question. No, there's no question that is stupid. I think that's very, very important, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. So what's the one memorable experience you have so far that you can share with us that gives validity to this opportunity, to what you're doing? You telling yourself that you wake up every day and you're like, you know what? This is, yeah, this is it. This, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I love it. Yeah, what's an experience you can share with us?
Yeah, no, no, I think that's there was but the first time that I taught in school, which was going back a little bit over a year ago.
Hmm.
And let me just, if you know, if I may,
Hmm.
just correct what you said at the beginning. I do
Okay.
teach other courses in the management class in the management department,
All
and
right. Okay.
one of the other ones that I actually really enjoy is called Business and Society, which kind of teaches how businesses, should live and interact in a responsible way with the societies where they exist.
Got it.
So, but
Got it. Okay. Okay.
yeah, but to come back to your question, on the first day that I walked into my accounting class, accounting and finance for entrepreneurs, I said, okay, by show of hand, how many people have been exposed to accounting
Hmm.
or finance? And not one hand went up. 12 weeks later, I had uh, I had four different groups in the class, and the class project was to come up with any idea,
Hmm.
right, and prepare an investment pitch
Okay.
that included validating those ideas, but also valuing the companies, right, that represent those ideas. And I was completely blown away by the fact that people who 12 weeks before that had never even heard the word balance sheets were actually completed, full financial valuations of the company with discounted cash flows. I mean, obviously they had to do projections and value them backwards, and that really, really was a validating experience for me because those are life skills that these young adults will take into their futures. And so,
Hmm.
just being in a position to give them that skill was very humbling for me and very validating. And to extend, a few months later was a pitch. I was one of the judges in a pitch competition,
Okay.
and one of the people that participated in the pitch was a student from my class.
Okay.
And so, being that I recognized that this was my student, I was extra critical, right? So I was really looking at to make sure that the that she demonstrated a solid grasp of all the concepts that we had gone through in the class. And I was just so elated to that I couldn't actually pick up anything that she could have done better.
Hmm.
You're right. And she was one of the winners of the pitch competition, by
Oh
the way.
wow.
And I
Okay.
called yeah, after the competition, I pulled her aside to congratulate her and said, "Listen, you did really well." And her response was, "I was your student." And that for me was just really that just validated the reason why I do this.
That is, I can imagine having that kind of feedback, in that kind of setting. I
Yeah,
mean, I would just be
yeah.
on like cloud nine, like, and but it's also very humbling, the fact that you feel like, you know what, you are really truly making an impact, and it's really, it's sinking in, right? They're receptive to it and replicating it, and applying it. So, yeah.
And what's really important about this one case is this is a young woman with a real product and a real company,
Mhm.
right? A business that she's actually, established. It's a real business with real products.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so if you kind of look at 5 or 10 years from now
Mhm.
and look at all the growth that
Mhm.
she will experience, just given the disciplines that we're able to impart to
Mhm.
her. And, for me to be able to say, well, I have one small part to play in
In
that
that,
success story. I think it's really humbling.
very humbling, and it speaks volumes too. Wow, kudos. This is exciting.
Thank you.
I was gonna say you found another calling because it's another calling now. Okay. On the flip side, so let's talk about the flip side now, right? So you've just walked us through of one of an example of a validating experience. Something that validates, yes, this is what you do. This is why you're doing what you do within the education sphere. Let's flip it now to let's talk about what's a major challenge you're facing. Again, just in the classroom setting and being, an adjunct professor teaching entrepreneurship class. Yeah.
You have AI can write essays for people in class,
Hmm.
right? For people, doing the exams. You can plug in, throw in the answer,
Hmm.
or it can help people write up their term papers and
Right.
things like that. And so, so how do you then,
How do you
the
combat
challenge
that?
is how
Yeah. Hmm.
how do you combat that? And so maybe, what we have to do on our side of the table is to, I think, embrace that, right? But embrace it in such a way that you don't outsource the learning to AI. So allow the kids. So we have examples. We have examples. We've had seminars in school on
Okay.
this, right? Where one of the professors, the way they use this is they'd say, "Well, here, take this answer, throw it into Chat GPT, or this question, throw it into Chat GPT. Show me the Chat GPT answer. Take that, improve on it, and show me your answer." And so that way, you're seeing two models, right? It's you've allowed the child to learn from the efficiencies and the capacity that Chat GPT has provided, but you've allowed them to grow beyond that.
Mm.
You
Hmm.
know, the other
Hmm.
the other approach is to have people stand up in class and defend their papers, right? If GPT writes a paper for you, you couldn't defend it, right?
Hmm.
Or to potentially have a mix of multi-choice questions, right? Where so there are ways that that this
Hmm.
technology, which is extremely
Right.
powerful, that we can harness the good out of it while minimizing the downsides. And so I think that it's still new. The rules are still being written.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for us, the younger people who are whose brains are wired differently, and I'm sure you can see that with even your
Even my
twins,
exactly.
is that yeah, they're wired differently and they're wired for technology. So the adoption rates are so fast and rapid. So they're kind of several steps ahead of people like myself who have to to put up the guardrails and manage those guardrails. But as a committee of practice, we must we must find a way to balance out harnessing the good while minimizing the bad.
Mm.
And so that for me, I think is a challenge that that education
Mm.
has to address
Mm.
or will face.
Hmm.
and has to find a way to address.
Right. More like east facing, right? Because it's here, like you said. To your point, it's you
Absolutely, it's
can't
facing.
put the toothpaste back in the tube. You know, it's still like already out.